So I was born in 1987 in Johannesburg, South Africa. That's where I still live. When I was born, I had a condition called yellow jaundice, which is a pretty common condition. It's not really supposed to be fatal. And I was given a drip for it. When the nurse had inserted the drip, she had put it in my stomach instead of my head because I had too much hair. And she accidentally pierced my colon, which would have been fine because it was just a tiny needle prick, right? But it turned out that this whole batch of drips was actually infected, and everyone around the country who had received from this batch of drips, from what my mom and the doctor say, none of them survived, and I was the only person who lived. I think the story was in the newspapers and stuff, but my parents were really not well off back then. They couldn't afford the legal fees. They wanted to sue the hospital, and kind of just all fell flat. So I spent about over 2 years in the hospital, back and forth, and I was put on a colostomy bag because my whole colon had ruptured and they had to remove it. Eventually they had sent me home because the doctor said, well, I was dying anyway. There was not much more they could do, especially because my parents were running out of money. One day my mom had put me on the bed and she said I had gone dead silent, and she had come into the room to see what was wrong. She thought I had eventually died, but she said when she walked in, to her shock, my whole stomach had exploded open, and like my organs were lying everywhere, and she had to collect them and rush to the hospital again, and she was just like about done, like she just didn't know what to do. And then my grandmother came down to help her look after me. And one day my grandmother actually said to my mother, why don't you try praying to Jesus Christ, because our gods are not working? And my mom was against it. My mom was, back then she was Tamil, she did not even believe in Jesus. My father was Catholic, so yeah, I guess he was not really the best example of Jesus. So yeah, she wanted nothing to do with Jesus. But I believe the Holy Spirit kept drawing her in, and eventually she did pray. She called a pastor that she found in a phone book, and they would come and pray for me often. And then one night my mother was saying she just woke up in the middle of the night and she was like interceding for me, and she said to God, if you insist on keeping my daughter alive, then you need to take her off this colostomy bag. She is not going to live on a bag for the rest of her life. Then God came to my mother in a dream. I will speak about the dream another time. And a year later, he grew back a piece of my colon, and they were able to re-engineer my whole digestive system.